Even if you carry a firearm for self-defense, you need to have a significant set of empty-handed skills to protect yourself. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Here we have an officer-involved incident where we're going to see it escalate from verbal to physical to deadly force. We're going to learn important lessons here about the limitations of less lethal tools like the taser, about the importance of empty-handed skills for self-defenders of all kinds, and about the importance of being able to stop the threat quickly with your firearm if you need to. Make sure to go read the news stories on this one, and you'll see that the man on camera here has been acting erratically and actually inappropriately touched a woman, and that's why the officer is following him. The car that he's about to get into is not his. Now, there's a lot to hear from the body cams, and then we'll come back and learn some lessons.
211, I'm at Maverick now, 500 East, 300 South. Don't. Hey! Get out of the car! 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 211 taser deployment. Get out and get on the ground. Get out and get on the ground. Let's go.
All right, I think there are some interesting lessons here that don't just apply to law enforcement, because if somebody were to get in your car like this, certainly you can use force to remove somebody from your car. Maybe not deadly force depending upon your state, but certainly force. And the officer's not using deadly force here. He tells the guy to get out of the car. And again, you have every right to tell somebody to get out of your property and every right to use physical force at the very least to stop them from doing so and taking your property. And again, there's some states, just two, I think, that can use deadly force in some instances there. Now, the officer decides to use a less lethal tool. He uses his taser here, but the taser is not incredibly effective, and I'm not positive if he didn't get a good prong hit or if he's just a little too close so he didn't get enough spread, but clearly it caused the guy a lot of discomfort, but it didn't completely incapacitate him. So you got to be ready for your less lethal tools not to work, whether you carry a taser or an OC spray or whatever. Now, we don't get to see on camera immediately, but when the guy decides to come after him, I do want to slow down on things here in just a second, as things are going to get crazy and we can see a couple interesting things on the badge cam. First thing that we're going to notice here as these guys are going is you see that punch coming right here. This guy is crazy. He is coming hard and he means business. And so you got to be ready in that moment to say, okay, I'm going to fight this guy. Now we see the officer here went from his taser to his baton. So we see the baton in the officer's hand. Now you got to recognize if you carry a baton, unless you know how to use it very, very well, it can become a lethal tool very quickly. And also one of the limitations of the baton we can see right here is that this guy has closed the distance with the officer, and a baton requires some significant distance to use, and when you don't have that distance, it becomes less effective. Now, as they're rolling around on the ground, we see the officer here from the down position and this guy on top of him raining down blows. Now, of course, when you're on the ground, one of your first priorities is to keep from being hit, keep from being hurt, but then get back up and regain your mobility, and that's exactly what the officer does here. Pretty darn quick. He gets away from the guy, and you can notice in his left hand there on the left, you see that the guy has taken the officer's baton away from him, and now he is threatening to use it on the officer. And I'm not 100% sure whether he got any strikes with that baton in on the officer, because the officer makes a beeline and tries to get the heck away from the guy and does a pretty good job of it. And as it switches over here, we can see the officer getting away and the guy now going over to the other officer. Now, some people might say, well, this officer ran away and why did he run, or those things. Actually, I think running was a great choice in this instance because he was trying to get away from, get some distance from that baton. And in doing so, your best way is to turn your hips away from the guy and get away as fast as you can. Now, our other officer here, you see his first shot and hear the other ones bang, 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 bang there. What you want to see is you notice, let's think about his shots. First one there came, and now he's gonna do 4 very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, quarter-second splits. Now he sits and thinks about it just a half second, makes a little bit closer aim because the guy's still coming, then several more shots very quickly until it stops. Now, once the threat stops, the officer stops shooting, but that's an interesting look there at cadence in shooting skills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to stop the threat, to get him to go, and you got to know how to shoot those different cadences when you need to cover your asp.